sending you one more handout. One that's not handout, that is one paragraph on the interlinkages between law and other sciences and other sciences. Yeah, so whatever we had discussed in the last class. And as far as your PhD is concerned, it will be a research project. A research project meaning thereby you have to choose any one contemporary topic. You can write on, you can do contemporary analysis of the theories of jurists. You can choose any topic of your choice and you can do jurisprudential analysis if you have interest in corporate law, or if you have interest in alternative dispute resolution, or for that matter criminal procedure or civil procedure, any branch of law which is close to your heart and which in which you actually want to work, on which you actually want to work, you may choose that. And thereafter the limit will be 3000 words, maximum 3000 words. And as far as guidelines are concerned, I will be taking a session on research, how to do it. And firstly, let me teach you today natural law. Let's start natural law first, and thereafter we'll talk about PSDA in Monday's class, because on Monday we have PSDA. I'll take PSDA session, and from next to next week onwards, I'll convert PSDA lecture into your regular lecture. So we'll meet because my target is to complete 2 units before the exams, because later on it becomes difficult to wind up. Sometimes it becomes difficult to wind up the concepts on time. Yeah, so you may choose any one dimension of 34 also, section 34 also, arbitrability, since I have given you PSDA topic for discussion. Go ahead with that, any topic of your choice. Apart from that, I'm sorry, I'll be circulating a list of tentative topics. You may choose any topic of your choice from that also. You'll get an idea. And by next week, by 5th of Feb, I should get your ideas, your topic should be there with me, so that I'll be able to finalize, so that I can finalize it by 7th of Feb. Okay, and you'll start working. I'll take a separate session on research, how to do it, what are the guidelines, and how do you go from broad to narrow and narrow to broad. Yeah, let's just do one thing. Till 11:40 let's study natural law, and from 11:40 to 11:50 we will study, we will talk about, I'll give you brief introduction to how to select the topics. So all right, so as far as natural law is concerned, natural law meaning thereby, what do we understand by the term nature? Anybody? Nature, what do you understand by the term nature? Anyone? Am I audible? Tell me, what do you understand by the term nature? Anyone?
Whatever's around us.
Whatever surrounds us. Okay.
Ma'am, something which exists independent of human interference.
Very good. Yes. Absolutely. Something which is beyond the human control. Something which is beyond human control. So, first of all, I would like to state that as far as natural law is concerned, it is not part of your syllabus. But if we go by, what you should study, natural law, the philosophy, a brief discussion on natural law is must. So I'll be devoting one class to 1.5 maximum to natural law. Now, nature is something which is beyond our control, beyond human control. इवन इफ बोलते हैं ना प्रकृति के विरुद्ध नहीं जाना चाहिए. वी शुड नॉट गो अगेंस्ट लॉ ऑफ नेचर. If you all remember external conflicts, while dealing with external conflicts, I had discussed, about the act of God also. What are those? All the natural calamities, they are beyond our control. Come what may, irrespective of advancement of technology, irrespective of advancement of technology and development, we still cannot predict that. We still cannot predict what nature is up to and what will be the next step. Yeah, what will happen next, we do not know. We can't predict it. Nature is beyond human control, and it is something which is prevalent all over the world, across the jurisdictions. Yeah, across the jurisdiction. And the bounties, the nature bestows bounties. The nature bestows bounties on all of us without any discrimination. Without any discrimination on the ground of, to the play on the ground of religion, caste, your gender, your geographical location. Yeah, it does not discriminates. But on the contrary, if the power is given to human beings, we start our philosophy with discrimination. We start our actions with discrimination. We start our functions, we start our life with discrimination, prejudices. We base our decisions on prejudices, on our preconceived notions. Yeah. So coming back to natural law, it is divided into three parts, three phases. One is Greek and Roman, and thereafter pre-Renaissance. Renaissance means birth, rebirth. And thereafter third is post-Renaissance, and in pre and post-Renaissance we will be discussing classical positivism also. All right. So first is meaning of the term nature. You'll not find it in books. You can write down your own definition of nature. I don't have any problem. So what is natural law? Natural law is basically certain principles which are applicable across the jurisdictions, which are applicable across the jurisdictions, and jurisdictions which are, these are principles which are recognized by the individuals, by individuals, irrespective of the jurisdictions. Yeah. So its inception can be traced to Greeks, 5th century, and wherein we'll be starting with Heraclitus. He says that what is nature? Nature is rhythm of events. Rhythm of events means, basically it means, see, example, sun rises in a particular direction and it sets in a particular direction which is fixed. I had already given this example that I can enjoy, I can take sunlight while sitting on the terrace, and others can, those who are not less privileged, they can, wherever, in case if they are sitting in public parks, the nature will not discriminate while bestowing the bounties, while giving the benefits. No, it will not. There are certain rhythmic events, there are certain din ke baad raat ke baad din. It is beyond our human control. So certain principles which are certain laws, certain principles which are inherent in our, which are part of our nature, which are inherent in us, which are inalienable. For example, what are fundamental rights? What is the basis of human rights? These are legally recognized natural rights. Nature says that do not discriminate. We say that do not discriminate. There shall be equality. The state shall not discriminate on the ground of so and so, on the 5 grounds. Rhythmic event, and thereafter Callicles, he says that law as right of strong. He further says that strong, when we talk about nature, what is natural law? He says that wherein strong prevails over over weak. And when we talk about human law, it is always weak prevail over strong, or it is made. Laws are natural law. He says that it is in, when we talk about natural law, strong prevails over weak. Strong strengthens, strong helps the weak to grow. And thereafter, uh, when we talk about human laws, it is all about weak. We are supporting weak. The law revolves around weak. As of now, just understand this, just keep this thing in your mind, and thereafter these two discussions are more important than this. So first of all, in these two, you understand that nature is beyond substance. It was placed at a higher order. Thereafter, certain rules, certain principles which are recognized across the jurisdictions. Yes. And thereafter, when we talk about Plato's theory, he says that fundamental belief in innate inequalities of human beings. He believed in innate inequalities, inherent inequalities of human beings, meaning thereby he said that as far as human beings are concerned, there are some inherent inequalities. They possess inherent inequalities. Hmm? Their capability, the degree of their capability, it varies from person to person. They are unequal. By inherently they are unequal. Plato says that inherently they are unequal, and the degrees of, degrees, their capability, it varies from human being to from one being to another being. It varies. Now, on the basis of this inherent inequalities, he had divided classes. He had divided people into 4 classes: gold, silver, and copper, and iron. He had classified people into 4 categories, wherein he had observed that as far as these 2 categories of people, these 2 categories are concerned, they are ruling classes. And these two he considered as producing classes. He said that these two silver people who belonged to defense forces or military, they were placed in this category. Gold and silver, they were not allowed to procreate. They were not allowed to start their families. They were not allowed to acquire private property. These two, they were only allowed to do what? They were only allowed to their function was to serve the public, to do the public good, and thereafter to protect the state. So thus they were not allowed to start with their families or to even acquire private property. However, when he categorized these 2 categories of the people who belong to these 2 categories, They were basically producing classes, and they were allowed to acquire private property. They were allowed to properties. They were allowed to have their own families, to procreate, and because they were categorized as producing classes. So going back to the philosophy of Plato, he says that inherent equalities, they do exist, and because of these inherent capability, inherent the inequalities, the difference in the capabilities, these rules, these roles have been assigned to the people. And further, he says that what is justice? Further, he says that justice is non-interference. I'm sorry, just a second. What is justice? He says that till the point you are not interfering in others' work is justice. And law is not required to administer justice. This that can be done by the kings also. Yes, and further he says that law is a set of abstract rules which can be applied, which makes a situation more complex. However, his theory was, are you all here with me? 3 points under Plato uh, will be more than suffice as at this point of time. 12.5 मार्कर नहीं आएगा इस पर, लेकिन समझने के लिए समझो क्योंकि आगे के लिए इम्पोर्टेंट है. ठीक है. Now I can start with classical positivism without telling you about natural law. So understand it. 3 points Plato में. Inequalities, basis. ठीक है. Inequalities in human beings is the basis, is the foundation. Meanwhile, raise your hands how many of you are here with me. Yeah. And inequalities, basis, foundation, degree, capabilities human beings की vary करती ही हैं individual to individual. On the basis of this inequality concept, he had classified men into 4 categories: gold, silver, iron, copper, iron. First 2 ruling classes, second 2 producing classes. Yes, and thereafter, as far as the concept of justice was concerned, he says that do not interfere in others' work. Until that point, the things are fine. And thereafter, he says that law is not required to administer justice. It should not be required to administer justice. ठीक है? Which it is something which makes the situation complex. So out of 36, only 26 are paying attention. So is my voice clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Because it is showing that bad network quality, if sound quality is bad, check your network. That's why I'm quite all right. Beta, understand now. ठीक. Now let's come to Aristotle. He criticized, Plato's observation, and he discarded the concept of inequalities. Okay, and thereafter he says he actually adopted a deep and pragmatic approach, and wherein he says that he placed man as best of animals when controlled by law. And he placed man at higher footing. While placing man at higher footing than of animals, he said that what is the thing which differentiates a man from animals? It is rationality, logic, reason. What differentiates man from animal is the capability of a man the rationality of the man, capability of man to provide reason, to provide logic. And in case if law will not be there, if law will not be there to regulate the conduct of the man, then in that case, what will happen? Then in that case, the the he will be no, there will be no difference between man and animals. Segregation of man and animals, segregation of man from law would result into, would place man in with at a same footing than that of normal animals. Further, he said that law is law and not individuals. Individuals are supreme. Law should be above. It is law. It is the law which is above man and not the man above law. Is it making sense? Come to fourth, this paragraph. Law. Law, not individual, should be treated as supreme. No man is above law. The concept of a rule of law. Rule of law. It is law which is supreme, not the individuals. Yes. And thereafter, moving ahead, there was a transition from, इसको ऐसे समझो, these were of sophist. ठीक है, ये एडिशनल पॉइंट है, लिखने की जरूरत नहीं है, मतलब याद रखने की अभी जरूरत नहीं है, लिख लो, आगे ह्यूमन राइट्स में पढ़ोगे. सोफिस्ट, ठीक है. एंड नेक्स्ट फिलोसफी वाज स्टोइक, फिलोसफी ऑफ जस्टिस. ठीक है. नाउ it was basically transition from abstract to general, from idealism to realism. Ideal means ऐसा होना चाहिए. When we give when we proceed towards more realistic view, that is a journey from idealism to realism. And thereafter, it is three crystallization of three concepts. We'll move ahead with we'll move ahead to Romans. Roman legal system, 3 dimension: just civil, just genitum, and just natural. Now, when we talk about crystallization of legal system or laws into 3 categories: just civil, just genitum, just natural. Okay, Cicero was one of the philosophers who is of Roman legal system, yeah, or Roman legal empire. Who is usually, he says that okay, I'll come back to Cicero afterwards, but understand the scope of these 3 terms. Just civil, this it means the laws which were applicable to, just civil means laws which were applicable to only Romans. Laws that regulated conduct by only Romans, conduct of only Romans. They were actually written down, they were enacted by legislative authorities. Some authorities were there that they regulated, they made those laws, and these laws were used, they were applicable only to Romans. They used to regulate the conduct, the property, the relationships of Romans only. Thereafter, this just civil was not applicable on the foreigners, to non-Roman citizens. Now, just genitum, when we correlate with just genitum means genitum or gentium, it means there are certain principles which are applicable across the jurisdictions, which are common to all the jurisdictions. Okay. Now, basically, while magistrates they decided the cases of foreigners, they decided the cases from individual to individual. Individual case, the application of law, it varied from individual to individual. However, while deciding individual cases, they came across certain principles that were applicable on all the citizen, on all the foreigners, which were certain principles which were common to all the jurisdictions, and those individual cases, for general principles, those general principles were called as gentium, and further it is called as law of nations. पढ़ोगे PIL में law of nations. ठीक. Certain common principles which are applicable across the jurisdictions. Just gentium. Thereafter, just natural means certain natural laws, laws which have cosmic application. And just natural, further it means that laws of nature, and they are considered to be yardstick of all the positive laws, all the laws made by the human beings should be in consonance with just natural. And this just natural is considered to be a yardstick. Yardstick means agar laws made by men, they are in consonance, they are in accordance with just natural, they are fine. Otherwise they are considered to be bad laws. These three categorizations. And thereafter, if we move ahead, pre-Renaissance, I'll just sum up this and thereafter I'll come to the next tomorrow. Whatsoever we have discussed till now, let's just go through it again. 5 to 7 points लिख लो खाली नोटबुक में, और इससे ज्यादा नहीं पढ़ना अभी. ठीक है, इससे ज्यादा नहीं पढ़ना. नेचुरल लॉ में इससे ज्यादा नहीं पढ़ना. नॉलेज के लिए पढ़ना है पढ़ो, उससे ज्यादा नहीं अभी पढ़ो. नॉलेज के लिए यू शुड रीड. From exam point of view, this much is sufficient. Cosmic. I'll use a different pen if I can. And yeah. Cosmic nature. Meaning of the term nature. Conception, Greeks. Transition, then Romans. And thereafter, it is divided into 3 parts: pre-Renaissance, post-Renaissance. Thereafter, nature as rhythm of events. It is beyond substance. It is beyond substance. Yes. Calicus, strong will prevail over weak. That is the law of nature. Plato, he believed in innate inequalities of human beings, means the capabilities of human beings, they vary, and thereafter, on the basis of this, he classified human beings into divided the society into 4 categories of people: gold, silver, iron, copper. First 2 ruling classes, second 2 producing classes. First 2's responsibility was to do what? Was to ensure that to do public good, and the purpose was to protect the state, to regulate the functions of state. Second, they can acquire last 2 classes can acquire the private property. They were producing classes, they were allowed to settle their families. Justice, according to him, means non-interference of in others' matters. Thereafter, he says that law is not required to administer justice. Justice can be administered by the kings. Thereafter, it was Aristotle who observed that law. Anybody can tell me what did Somik tell me? What did Aristotle observed? Do you have doubt? You have raised your hand, Ria and Somik.
No, ma'am.
Okay, Somik, tell me what did or Aristotle said? Any one point.
Uh, Ma'am, he talked about.
Hmm.
Ma'am, he's the one that said supreme will prevail over the weak.
Mhm. Anybody else? अगर साथ में बैठ के yeah, anybody can unmute and tell me. Please go ahead. Yes, please. Hmm. D- hmm. And if he is segregated from law, then man is segregated from the law, then what? Then he'll be placed at same footing at that as that of animals. And thereafter, this is more important. Law is and not individuals is supreme. All right. If you will not sit and write the points simultaneously in jurisprudence, especially in first two units, फिर बेटा पूरा समुंदर है, ढूंढते रहना कितना लिखना है पेपर में. अगर सब्जेक्टिव तब तक सब्जेक्टिव ही होंगे. बी रेडी फॉर सब्जेक्टिव एग्जाम्स. यू नेवर नो इफ पोजीशन विल बी अंडर कंट्रोल, दे विल गो फॉर सब्जेक्टिव एग्जाम्स. ठीक है, फिर ढूंढते रहना कितना लिखना और कितना नहीं लिखना. द बेस्ट वे इज कीप जॉटिंग डाउन द पॉइंट्स व्हिच आर बीइंग डिस्कस्ड, और उस रजिस्टर को बाद में रीड करो और उसी में एडिशंस कर लो. ठीक है. एनीवेज, anybody else? Ria, tell me about just civil, just gentium, and just natural. These three classifications. Tell me about it. Go Dhananjay next. Batao Ria, are you there? Ria, I can't hear you, bache. Samiksha.
Yes, ma'am. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Yes, ma'am. So, basically, there were three categories: just civil, gentium, and natural. Just civil was the law which was applicable only to the Romans, and it was not applicable to foreigners. And also, it was enacted by the legislative authority. Just gentium was basically law of the nation, which was applicable across various jurisdictions, and they were basically the common principle.
Wait,
And
wait,
just
wait.
natural
Law of the
was
nations. Just a second. Law of the nations नहीं. पहले law of the nations नहीं था. At the end, it was categorized as law of the nation. At the end of it means with the passage of time. इंटरनेशनल लॉ की जब डेवलपमेंट हिस्ट्री पढ़ोगे, विद द पैसेज ऑफ टाइम इट वाज कैटेगराइज्ड एज लॉ ऑफ नेशंस. इनिशियली नहीं. ठीक है, पहले जब अलग अलग इंडिविजुअल केसेस जब डील करने होते थे तब डिफरेंशिएशन आता था. देयर आफ्टर एज अ रिजल्ट ऑफ इट, you know, we unified, we did, you know, we actually, um, there was a need for unification of generalization of the principles. This is how law of nations evolved. ठीक है, ऐसे. All right, Samiksha, fine. I'll mark the attendance now. Pradul, are you there in the class?
Yes, ma'am. Good morning.
Now tell me good morning. What have you understood? Any one takeaway? Meanwhile, tell me, till Akshat, PSD, I think tomorrow's class. Tomorrow I'll tell you about PSD. Be there. All right.
मैम अक्षत
Akshat. Pradul, बताओ बेटे क्या सीखा? Who
Ma'am,
else?